Hello and welcome to today's short seminar from KDE Leadership. KDE Leadership is a coaching consultancy with our mission statement being to give more value to business leaders and executives. These free sessions are a foretaste of our upcoming leadership conference, which I'll be talking to you about later. Over the past 3 years, as businesses struggled with and responded to the global COVID-19 pandemic and moved largely into the remote or virtual work setting, one of the frequent questions we get from our community has been, how do we ensure that our workforce is maintaining efficiencies and productivity even in the virtual workspace? So today we'll be addressing a key topic, measuring productivity in virtual work settings. As always, I'm Dr. KD Iwulu, lead coach at KD Leadership and your presenter today. Our sessions have followed a strategic course so far. In week 1, about 5 Fridays back, we reviewed team dynamics. In week 2, about 4 Fridays back, we reviewed change management at its best. In week 3, we reviewed doing more with less, that is, budgeting amidst scarcity. During week 4, we reviewed project management knowledge, skills, attitudes, and PMO setup and operations. And in week 5, which was last Friday, we went over executive leadership do's and don'ts. You can watch the replays of these 5 short presentations on our LinkedIn page. The page will be displayed again for your convenience at the end of today's session. Today, which is week 6, we will review the strategically important topic of measuring productivity in remote work settings. I always like to start with a quote, this time from famous management guru, Peter Drucker. And he says, what gets measured gets managed. Let me say that again. What gets measured gets managed. It simply means that to manage organizations successfully, we have to measure their productivity accurately, non-judgmentally, and of course with the requisite balance between micromanagement and macromanagement. This presentation is going to address some training needs for several types of leaders. For stay-at-home business owners, we will give you a direction and some push on how to set up your productivity targets and track yourself as you walk through your tasks. For bosses and managers, we're going to show you how to measure your remote team members' productivity without micromanaging them or demotivating them. We'll also look at collaboration between remote workers and their supervisors, especially during the goal-setting stages of service delivery. Before we go further, here are some questions I ask you to consider. Have you set productivity targets for your team? Do you have methods for tracking productivity? Do your methods encourage micromanagement and inspiration for team members? Do all your stakeholders collaboratively set goals? Specifically, because time is short, we are going to briefly highlight the following topics. Topic number 1, establishing a measurement instrument through planning. Planning is where we will introduce the concepts of WBS and the Gantt chart, involving frontline stakeholders, and adding remote-inspired buffers. Topic number 2, tracking during execution. By tracking with the Gantt chart and by leveraging the network diagram. Topic number 3, facilitating self-tracking. By sharing the tracking instruments, encouraging self-tracking, and encouraging frontliners to buffer phases during execution. And finally, our recommendations. So let's begin with establishing a measurement instrument. Productivity is to be measured against an agreed to instrument, a baseline. You should start by doing 3 things. Collectively identifying the steps to project completion. This is the work breakdown structure. presenting these steps in a graphical format for easy understanding. This is the Gantt chart. And ensuring that adequate time between tasks is inserted for contingency purposes. This is buffering. Now let's look at planning, the WBS and the Gantt chart. These two tools enable us to find answers to the following questions. What tasks will be completed? In what order they should be completed? How much time is adequate for completing the tasks? What PM software are you utilizing? It could be any of these: MS Project, Project Libre, Concept Draw Project, Asana, Zoho, or whatever planning software your organization prefers. Let us look at the concept of involving the frontline stakeholders and ask the following three questions. Have you involved the probable field executors of the tasks in this planning and estimation exercise? Have you accorded your subject matter experts final say in execution details, the ways and means of getting the tasks accomplished? Have you fully embraced their recommendations by integrating their input into the methods of execution? Finally, establishing a measurement instrument involves adding remote-inspired buffers. And again, we have a few considerations. Were time buffers inserted between tasks? Was extra time between tasks added for download and upload activities? And were final schedules agreed upon collaboratively by frontline and leadership stakeholders? Now that we've planned our work, it's time to work our plan. Let's look at the concept of tracking during execution. The most common tools by which tracking during execution is done are the Gantt chart and the network diagram. We advise that the baseline plan is used to track team members' performance. The time and cost-based list of activities is the WBS, while the graphical representations are the Gantt chart and the network diagram. These three tools are to be used as guides by your remotely based team members to self-measure their performance. Let's drill more into the Gantt chart as a tracking tool during execution. We want to review the task dependencies and durations. We also want to follow up on team members handling predecessor tasks. You want to stay connected with team members waiting on task completion before theirs can commence. And then you want to keep to the process as prescribed in the Gantt chart. If you're a team member, the best way not to be micromanaged is to manage yourself. Let us look at how to leverage the network diagram as a tracking tool during the execution phase. We suggest identifying tasks that are critical to the entire team and assigning those tasks to available, competent team members. Reviewing periods and durations that are scheduled for each task is also critical. The intention is to stick to them. You should identify tasks with buffers, which are slacks of more than a zero value, and assign them to those team members who could do with some time off, as long as they're not away longer than the slack value. For example, if you have a 3-week slack on an activity, you want to assign that task to someone who does not have more than 2 weeks approved leave during that execution period. Otherwise, the task might come in late. You should coordinate with other team members and offer a helping hand to those experiencing schedule slippages. In doing this, you are building your executive currency. Finally, let's touch on some self-tracking and phase buffering guidelines. Every team member should have a copy of or access to the work breakdown structure, the Gantt chart, and the network diagram. An orientation of these guiding instruments should be done to ensure that everyone knows how to decipher them, and use them to track themselves. As a leader, you should identify the slacks and critical paths to all team members, especially to those resource personnel assigned to handle critical activities. To achieve self-tracking and minimize micromanagement, you want to encourage your team members to track their individual performance by comparing with and sticking to the baseline plan on the Gantt chart. Be aware that performance dips will occur due to time lost at transition points in finish-start relationships. You may want to encourage the use of the slacks that exist on the network diagram, most especially the waiting periods before successor tasks can begin. So, what have we learned today as leaders grappling with the challenges of sustaining and measuring productivity in virtual work environments? Our recommendations therefore include: set up a list of tasks to complete the assignment. This is the work breakdown structure. Set up your tasks with input from your frontline team members. Create a Gantt chart and network diagram from your work breakdown structure and use them as tracking tools with all team members. Remember to train them on how to track themselves with these tools. You want to include time and cost buffers and some padding to your estimates and to your schedules. Use milestones while creating the Gantt chart and network diagram to generate avenues for supervisor review and celebration of small wins. Our last 5 presentations were on team dynamics, change management, budgeting amid scarcity, project management KSAs and PMO setup, and executive leadership do's and don'ts. You can watch replays of them on my LinkedIn profile page. Enjoy them and do share the links with your team members. If you want to bring these trainings in-house to your team, I encourage you to schedule on my online calendar at calendly.com/KDE leadership/30 minutes. Finally, these 6 short presentations have been build-ups to our 3-day virtual leadership conference coming up between July 10 and 12, 2023, conveniently scheduled between 8 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Eastern on all 3 days. Zoom details will be available once you register. The descriptions and the sign-up link for the 3-day virtual leadership conference are at the bottom of the screen. For those who joined us on audio only, the conference link is KDE-virtual-leadership-conference. When you sign up, I'll be sending you a complimentary e-copy of my new book on organizational leadership. It is titled Big Dreams, Making It Happen for Organizations and Teams. The thumbnails and link are provided at the bottom of the page if you want to preview what's coming your way once your registration for the conference is completed. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope today's presentation will help you get the best out of your virtual team members. See you at the Leadership Conference on our Zoom platform on July 10 to 12, 2023. That is Monday to Wednesday nights between 8 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Eastern on all 3 nights. Be safe. I'm Coach KD signing out. Bye for now and see you in 2 weeks.